You're listening to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses. Each week, you'll hear my thought-provoking conversations with Olympians, pro athletes, CEOs, elite coaches, best-selling authors, and other high performers to uncover their secrets to success. Get ready to be inspired each week when we talk about leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and more. Are you ready? Let's go. Sylvia Hoffman began bobsledding in 2018 with no previous experience or background in the sport. And in just 2 years, Sylvia became the #1 brakewoman for USA Bobsled. She's now a 5-time World Cup medalist, 3-time national champion, and an international record holder. Today, Sylvia is hard at work, training with hopes of competing in her first Olympics in Beijing this February. When I first heard about Sylvia's story, I was curious to learn more about how she became one of the world's most elite bobsledders in just a few short years. And most importantly, what can we all learn from her experience? Turns out, Sylvia credits a lot of her success in bobsledding to taking skills, techniques, and mindsets she learned years ago in other parts of her life and applying them to something new. So if you are starting down a new path in your life or developing a new skill, then this conversation is for you. So let's pull the tarp and get straight to my conversation with Team USA Bobsledder Sylvia Hoffman. Where I want to begin is something really unique about your story. Most Olympians train an entire lifetime in their sport to get ready for the Olympic Games. You just started bobsledding in 2018. How have you gone from starting a new sport in 2018 to being on the doorstep of an Olympic team in 2022?
Oh man, that's hard work and effort right there. I'm also a multi-sport athlete. So I've had 3 other sports to actually try to do this in. Actually, bobsled is the 3rd one. So I've had 2 other opportunities to make sure that I'm super fast, super strong, and then ready for an Olympic year. So I have my experience spread across different sports. And then this sport just happens to be one that really highlights what I can do as an athlete.
Now, bobsledding is a sport where, especially Team USA has had a lot of success recruiting people from other sports and kind of converting them into bobsledders. What is it about the skills you need to be a successful bobsledder that you're able to draw from your success in other sports?
Well, my first sport was basketball. Basketball, as we know it, has a little bit of everything. You have speed, agility, jumping, diving. You have change of speed, change of direction. You have the strength areas. You have almost like let's just say a contact sport, because you are actively touching other people, moving them out of your way, this, and that. So that particular sport, I think, really helped me have a good base for any sport that I wanted to do afterwards, whether it continued to be basketball or something else like boxing or soccer or anything of that matter. I was able to be successful in anything after the sport. And then I got into weightlifting right after college basketball. I did 8 years of Olympic weightlifting. I made 3 international teams with that. And that experience with, the strength and conditioning and then just learning the movements, explosive movements, and then also being able to not have to sprint and jump and do all those things that I was doing in basketball. So in reality, I actually took 8 years off of running, jumping, not so much because in weightlifting you do jump, but I took time off of sprinting and running, and that wear and tear of those movements, I think really has made me successful in this sport because I'm able to come in fresh as if, I never left basketball or just say a running sport in general. So it's just been a really great combination coming from those, the explosive speed, agility sport. And then I went into strength conditioning, also strength-based, speed-based, explosive movements. And now I'm in a sport where now I can actually start running, sprinting, jumping, and doing all those things that I learned over my lifetime of sport. And I can just put it all in one, which is bobsled.
So you competed on the Team USA's next Olympic hopeful. That's where you get discovered as a competitive bobsledder at this level. When someone presents the idea to you to come and test out your hand at bobsledding, what's going through your mind? How are you thinking about that next step?
I mean, I was all about it. I was kind of, I guess, keeping my head on the swivel because I've always wanted to be an Olympian, represent my country. I've done it internationally, but never on an Olympic stage. So I wanted to always either be in the military or become an Olympian. And I've been able to put myself in a position where the Olympic dream is just literally right there in my grasp. So when the bobsled coaches chose me to do a sport specific pushing test on the push cart there in Colorado Springs, I just went all out. That's all I could do is I was like, look, I think I was 28 at the time. I was like, look, you're 28, you're switching sports, weightlifting. Obviously, you're probably not going to make that Olympic team. I was like, you have to do something. You either go all out or you go home. And I chose to go all out and I impressed the coaches and they invited me out to Lake Placid, New York, where I am right now, actually. And I just did my best there at the push championships with the rookie push champs, national push championships, team trials, you name it. Like they said, hey, let's see how fast you are on dry land. And then I was able to prove how fast it was. And then they said, well, hey, let's see how fast you're on ice. And then I was able to prove how fast I was. And I broke a standard and created a new standard for the upcoming brakewomen to come in and say, well, hey, if you're not hitting these numbers, then the likely chance of you making a World Cup team is, like not as great. So, being able to do that coming into the sport, not knowing anything about it was like huge for me. And then I was able to prove the same thing on the World Cup level.
Go all out or go home. I like that mindset, Sylvia. Is that always been a mindset of yours? Is that something that's been with you your whole life, that you're going to put everything into something or you're not going to be a part of it?
Yeah, I want to say for the most part, it has kind of like been that thing of like, hey, you're either going to do it or you're not. I'm a big fan of not wasting people's time nor my own. So whenever I go out and do something, especially when I choose it and I say, hey, this is what I want to do, that is me committing to not only myself, but the people around me that are also involved in whatever it is that I want to do. So I've always just kind of had that thing of like, hey, you got this, you can do this, be that person that like leads the way, like just try to have like the positive mindset of things and not like bashing myself like, hey, I don't know if you can do this, but maybe you'll try. Like, no, it's like, go out there, give it your all, see if you're good at it. And if you are, just take control of it and let's go ham. Let's just go ham on it. I believe in doing my best no matter what. And then doing my best to the best of my abilities. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself and for the people that are around you. So that's what I go for on a regular basis.
What was the biggest surprise when you got into bobsledding?
Oh, so I didn't know that it would feel the way it felt going down a hill. So in bobsled, we're going down an icy track. You can even think of it like a half pipe, so to speak. So you're going down this mile-long track. You're in a bobsled. As a brakeman, you don't see anything. So I'm used to visualization. I'm used to seeing where I'm going. I'm used to like being able to intake all these things within my eyes. But with bobsled, as a brakewoman, I'm not able to do those things. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I am. Oh my goodness. Like, why do I feel that? Why do I feel this? Oh my goodness. Like it's just a ride and you have to get used to it. Even now, it's like, I'm that much better because I have 3.5 years of experience of it. But if you take a driver that has never been a brakeman or been in the back, I had a friend from Germany that said that she did that. She took a trip after never being in a brake position in 2 years. And then she took a trip and she said, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how you guys do it. She's like, I didn't know where I am. And like, I know the tracks like the back of my hand because I've driven all of these tracks in the world. But yet when I got back there, I didn't know anything. And she's like, and I felt these things, like I felt the sled and it was moving weird. And it's like one of those things you just have to get used to. So that was my biggest takeaway from entering the sport. And then the second one was just, I didn't know that bobsled was such a blue collar sport. We do nearly all the sled work. We don't have a pit crew. So a lot of people think that we show up to the track and we have this crew kind of like NASCAR or something, and they're doing all the work for us. They have like tons of mechanics and they're doing all the work for us. And we just warm up, get ready, push the sled and jump in. But that's not how it works in bobsled. Bobsled, we're the ones that work on the sled. We take care of it. We get it to the line. We transport it from one location to another, like we're loading it up in the sled truck, we're unloading everything, creating a garage and a parking lot, like in a parking garage. And we're just saying, hey, this is where we train. This is where we work on our sleds. And we're just going to make the most of it and then go out there and compete against the world. So that was those two things I had no idea this sport had going on for it. but it's definitely been a challenge. But I've been all in. It's like you're either here or you're not. What are you doing? You can't just waste your years away just saying, I'm just gonna do this for fun. Nope. All about it. I'm all about it.
That story about the blue collar nature of bobsledding is just perfect for this show, because this show is called Everybody Pulls the Tarp. It's all based upon a mindset and a philosophy that I have, that great teams, great organizations are powered by individuals who contribute in unexpected ways. They do things that maybe aren't in their job description. They don't think there's any task beneath them. They're willing to do whatever it takes in the moment to help the team. For you and your teammates, that's taking care of the sled, setting up the garage, cleaning up the garage, getting ready for practice. It's not just, glamorous, hop into the bobsled and let it rip.
It's not. And it's also cold. So that's like another element to it all. It's a winter sport that takes place about like 6 months out of the year as far as like preparations. Each location in the world has a different winter season. Some start early and finish early. Some start early, finish late. But we have a 6-month time frame within the whole world itself to figure out how we're going to get better at bobsled itself. It requires snow, ice. Well, it requires ice. And if it's too warm, the ice on the track will melt. The ice conditions are terrible. You can damage your equipment, things of that nature. Like, it just gets dangerous. So we have to do it during the winter. It's not something that we can just do in the middle of the summer where we can just get better all year round. It's something where like we have to do this in the wintertime. Now, as a brakewoman and there, brakemen, we have this opportunity of being able to get better throughout the entire year because it only requires pushing. It requires your athleticism and it requires pushing. And you can do that anywhere. You can do that at the gym. You can do it on a field, at the track. You can do it anywhere. You can find a push track. We have push tracks here in Lake Placid. We have a dry land and an ice push track. And then we also, I think, are getting one built out in Park City, Utah, I believe. So we're going to have a total of 3 push tracks available here in the United States. And I mean, in North America itself, that's maybe a total of 4, because we're talking about Canada. So it's one of those things where you can get better, but you have to get better at pushing, not just sprinting, not just lifting, but by pushing an object, because it requires a different amount of energy throughout your entire body. I kid you not, you can blow yourself up in 6 hits and you're going to be like, what? I thought I could do 15, but no, you can't. So it's a different beast as a brakeman, and it's a whole different skill level as a pilot.
It's so interesting, Sylvia. What about the analytics and the video, like in other sports? Is there a role for that in bobsled? Are you spending time looking at an iPad, watching video of your bobsled runs? Are you spending time with data? Talk about that for a minute.
Oh, definitely. So I'm definitely an analytical person. I love technology. I love IT. I'm an engineer. I love learning in that particular way because visualizing something and seeing what's going on can make the difference of you winning a race or losing a race. So in bobsled, let's just start from the brakemen to the pilots. We film our pushes, we film our drives down the track. Because the track is so long, it's about a mile long, you have to stand in a curve. So that also makes it a little bit more difficult for the pilots because you can only stand in so many curves and it's cold and all the above. So, you pick a curve, you stand in it and you just watch the sleds go by you. It's really quick, like as a blink of an eye, let's just say the sled will go by. So you have to be quick with that. Pushing wise, you can get a little bit more film with that. Start ramps are generally about, let's just say from the start block to the timing iron to the first curve is about 50 meters. The start block to the first timing is 15. So you have a time from 15 to 50 meters. But the grooves in the ice where the sled sits on, there's grooves so that the sled won't go like this as you're pushing it, and it'll just stay straight in a straight line. So the grooves end typically about 35 meters down the crest. That's not that long. So you're pushing for about 30 meters, 30 to 35 meters or whatever. And then you're jumping in, getting down, the pilot's getting ready, and now you're going into the track. So all of that's your film. And then the rest of it is down the track. So it's like, it requires precision. And each track in the world, they have cameras set up at, I want to say at each curve. So you can kind of see the entrance and the exits of each curve. So the pilots are not only getting things from the outside of the track where someone is filming, but they're also getting stuff from the inside of the track. But we can't necessarily have too many filming devices on our sleds. So again, we're limited in some capacity, but it's like you make do with what you have, and everyone in the sport knows like, this is what we can do. This is what it requires. So we'll have to just do several trips to get that perfect line, to get the fastest line down the track.
What is the process in terms of like goal setting in bobsled? Are you breaking it down into small chunks? Are you really just working towards an improved time? How are you going about setting goals individually and as a unit?
So I honestly believe it depends on the person and how they learn. Each person learns a little different, whether it's by vision, feeling, hearing. Usually, if you can combine those three things, you're able to learn just like that. But your learning capacity too is also a factor. So depending on what you're working on, so let's just say if someone wanted to join bobsled, the first thing we show them is the push track. We say, hey, here's a dryland push track. This is this sled that's on rails, and all you have to do is push it to go forward. We'll show them how to set up in their start position. We'll show them what their legs are supposed to be doing when they hit the sled, and then we'll just kind of just let them go. So it's like a progression type of thing with anything that you do. You have to progress into something that's a little bit more difficult than what someone else. So like a new person, they might be working on their hit, just trying to get their knees into the sled and just dropping in and hitting the sled, as opposed to someone that's like, a year or two in, they're just looking at their sprint techniques, their sprint mechanics going down the crest. So it just depends on what you're working on, and just making sure you're setting your goals where like you're not doing something that you're not ready for. So it's almost like a progression type of thing. And each person has like their own set of goals. Some people are really good at sprinting, so they don't necessarily have to worry about their sprint mechanics and what they look like. They just have to know what position they need to be in and then just do it. People with more that don't necessarily have like the strength base, they're going to have to figure out how to get the sled going to the best of their ability without, like we say, getting dragged by the sled. It's when you hit the sled and then you kind of fall, but you don't fall and keep going forward running, you fall and your legs are dragging. So it's one of those things, like we say, don't get dragged. Because it's like, that means you like just really messed up bad. But there's been people that come back from that. We have like a silver medalist from last year. Like she even has it posted on her IG, and, she started out and she wasn't doing that well pushing, but she ended up being, a silver medalist at the 2018 Pyeongchang Games. So it's like, it doesn't matter where you start as long as you have a plan and know what you want to do and know what you want to accomplish at the end of it. And just making sure you're hitting those milestones to make sure you're like hitting that goal at the end of the day.
You're doing something, that many would fear, right? You're hopping into a sled and you're riding it downhill on ice. You're trying to make incremental, improvements to your ability, working very hard under a lot of pressure. What about the mental side of it? Is there work that's being put in, from a sports psychology, mental skills perspective?
Oh, yeah. We have a sports psychologist on site here in Lake Placid, named Dr. Mara. She's amazing. She makes sure that she keeps in touch with all the athletes. Doesn't matter which sport that comes up here, biathlon, the aerialist, bobsled, skeleton luge, gymnastics. It doesn't matter. She's a sports psychologist, and she's here for us to make sure that we're getting exactly what we need out of the sport, and we're not like killing ourselves mentally in the process. Because I think staying positive in all aspects can affect your mental health. She's made sure that she was available during like the COVID stuff when people are in lockdowns. She's in our chats like, hey, like I'm here if you need me, to reach out, if we're coming back into town. She's like, she wants to touch bases with us to make sure that we're getting what we need. We have our goals set where we are mentally and physically. And then that way, if she needs to convey to the coaches like, hey, this athlete, like this is what they need. This is what they told me that they need from you. And she's able to converse with them on a different level. So then that way everyone understands like what each party needs. So she's amazing. I'm really glad. And I feel like I'm super blessed that, especially at this stage in life, to even be able to work with a sports psychologist. I believe we need more of them out there. And I also believe like if I had one when I was younger, man, there's no telling. Heck, I probably would have stayed in basketball. You never know. So it's one of those things where it's like, if there's help, use it. Don't be afraid to use it, because I know back in the day, you hear the word psychologist and, people will be like, oh my gosh, you're seeing a psychologist and this and this. And, it was never like looked at as a good thing as far as mental health is concerned. But nowadays people are a little bit more enlightened of like, hey, you know what? I actually do need to take care of myself. These things do matter. It does matter if I'm feeling down and this, and that, or if I'm feeling happy and I want to actually like tell other people about it. So just, like having someone available, I think it just has made the world of difference for not just athletes, but coaches within each federation and each sport.
I think, certainly people like Simone Biles and Michael Phelps and others have done such a great job to shine a light on the important topic of mental health, especially for athletes everywhere, for people everywhere, but in particular, Olympic athletes. I think people so often see an Olympian standing on the podium getting their gold medal, and they have really very little appreciation for the work, both physically and mentally, that went into that, and what those individuals go through. It's such a important topic. You've mentioned a few times, Sylvia, you're in Lake Placid, you're training. Everybody's wondering, who listens to this show, we're about 3 months or so away from the Olympics. Hopefully you're going to be in Beijing. What does a day look like right now for Sylvia Hoffman?
Right now, we are scrambling to make sure that we have everything that we need for tour. A bunch of us leave out on the 12th of November, which is like less than 10 days, something like that. So right now it's like, last minute training, fine tuning, because we can't necessarily do too much. I mean, we've spent all summer training and competing. So now it's kind of like we have to like dial it back a little bit, but then also make sure that we're still ready for tour, because this year it's like every World Cup, they're looking at, what we're doing, our performance, how do we measure up to the field? What did you do this year versus any other race you've ever done within the federation? So it's like all eyes are, pretty much on team selection, on the athletes, health, stability. Are they able to, still perform under certain pressures? A bunch of us have like the media summits and things that were going over the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of like last minute, fine tuning with, like training, what you need as far as like if you have to buy supplements, because this year was a little different. All of our sleds got shipped to China. So it went straight to China, and their rules were that we couldn't have any food or liquids in the crates, which sucked because we usually put our supplements and things that we actually don't need on the plane inside the crates. So because of that, we're like, well, we have extra bags, now we have to make sure we have room for our supplements, whether it be powders or tablets, electronics, headphones. I still need to buy like 2 more sets of headphones. I just lost a pair. So it's like, I want to make sure that I'm ready and prepared for the season, because we have 4 months ahead of us. And our Christmas break, we have like a week off, but a bunch of us are not coming back to the States this year. So that's a world of difference too. We're going to stay out in Europe because it's just better for the mind, the body to recover, instead of traveling back to the States and then turn around in like 2.5, 3 days and then coming back to Europe. We just think that it's too much money and too much energy. So the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to just stay in Europe, get some rest, recover. And then our first World Cup after Christmas is in Sigulda, Latvia. So it's like, we have all these things going on. I had a 2-a-day today. I have training tomorrow. I have another training session. I have a sleep study on Friday. So it's crunch time. We don't have time to do like run around and stuff. It's like, what do you need to do? Okay, let's do this. So I'm really glad that you and I were able to like really squeeze this in, because I was like, I don't know what's going on. And the schedules are all crazy. There's no ice time available. People are trying to slide down the track. We got little crates. It's like I'm not going to say a hurricane, but it's something like that up until we're ready to go to Europe.
We've been talking about doing this for a while, Sylvia. I am so glad we're getting to have this conversation. You mentioned the sleep study. Okay, I want to unpack a few things there. So sleep study, obviously, we talked about the mental side of things, the physical side of things, sleep. How big of a role, is sleep playing in recovery?
Oh, it's a huge role. I've always known that I've had like some type of sleep apnea, but I didn't know how bad it was. And our great sports med team, they've been trying to look out for, not just me, but the other athletes. And I told them like, well, hey, I was like, I'm having these troubles sleeping. I was like, I feel like I feel good, but then other days I don't feel like I feel good. So they said, well, hey, let's take a deep dive. I've seen a pulmonologist. So they've been looking into like what my breathing is like lately. A sleep study, I mean, honestly, it's been rescheduled twice. It's been rescheduled twice. And I think it was supposed to be Friday, but now it's Thursday of this week. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to do this so I can figure this out. So they're just trying to make sure that like I'm getting the right recovery in and that I'm actually sleeping, because as of right now, every time I go to sleep, I'm actually waking up right afterwards. So I'm really not sleeping. And I can't tell the difference because I'm so used to it. So I'm really excited that they were able to get me into this study, because I'm like, we need to know, do I need a CPAP? Do I need surgery? What's going on? And what do we have time for right now? But we're trying to do it all. And so far, so good. It's just a matter of planning and then just kind of just doing it.
Sylvia, you're so close to achieving something that's been a goal of yours for so long, becoming an Olympian, competing in Olympic Games. Even though you didn't maybe 20 years ago expect that it might be in bobsledding, you're still really close to achieving that dream. How do you process that? And how do you deal with, the not creating too much pressure for yourself?
Well, I have let's just say a good team around me. I think that's one of the biggest things that's in relation to success is the people that are around you. So over the years, I've been able to meet some amazing people, teammates, coaches, you name it. I have family that are super supportive and in whatever I do. So my previous coach, Zygmunt Smalzers, he was our national team and head coach for USAW. He's now the head coach of Norway's federation. And he was great. Like we worked together initially. He's like, hey, you should be hitting these numbers. Why aren't you doing this? I was like, I don't know. And it was one of those things where it's just like, I didn't know so many things, but he's also a very technical person. So he was able to sit me down one day. He's like, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing wrong. And it took that moment to say, hey, you're doing this wrong, for me to just be like, I didn't know that, because no one had told me I was doing certain things wrong. So he's like, if you do these things like this, you could be a world champion, you could be an Olympian, you could be an Olympic champion. I'm like, wow, no one told me that. Let's do this. And so I asked him like, hey, let's take care of it. So he's been like pretty much he's still my coach to this day. We talk, ever so often. He sends me my program every day that I need it. And it's just like one of those things where it's like you have people in your corner that are going to make sure that you're on the right track for success. He's an Olympic champion. The brakeman coach that I'm working with as well, he's a German guy. He's from Germany, 2-time Olympic champion as well. He's a bobsledder. So it's like when you're surrounding yourself with people that have done what you're trying to do, you're more likely to achieve that as well. And it's the same thing in business. So I try to surround myself with people of a like mindset, that are positive, that are go-getters, that don't make excuses for what they can't do, because at the end of the day, there's always somebody that's able to do it. And it's like, well, why are they able to do this, but you're not? So I just try not to make excuses for, anything. It's like, well, there's always going to be something, but it's like, but there's always a way to get past that something that's holding you back. So I just try to stay focused. This year has been pretty crazy with everything. But as far as like I'm concerned, like I learned so much in weightlifting that I didn't learn in basketball. And then also as an adult, it's like, okay, I get it now. I know how to stay focused. I know how to like remove myself from situations that are unnecessarily stressful, that's, killing my energy, things of that nature. Because like, if you're not protecting your energy, your, let's just say, you paying attention, your ability to pay attention to what needs to be done tends to get diminished. So I'm like, well, hey, you know what? I need to make sure I'm protecting my energy, staying positive, staying around people with like mindsets. Like, I don't want to hear someone complaining for an hour about how hard something is. I'm like, well, you're in here, you're doing it. It's only as hard as you think it is. I mean, I used to tell myself in weightlifting, this weight isn't heavy. And you know what? I ended up squatting double body weight not too long after that. So it's like, if you're preparing yourself to be successful for what you want to do, then it's so much easier to do it. If you're going to doubt yourself, you're probably not going to be successful. But if you're going to like lift yourself up mentally, man, there's no telling what you can reach with that.
You have such inspiring, elevating, positive mindset, Sylvia. I have had so much fun. I am so glad that we got to have this conversation.
Of course.
Good luck the next few months with everything. We're all going to be rooting for you. Best of luck getting to Beijing, and keep pulling the tarp. All right, Sylvia?
I appreciate it all day, every day.
All right. Take care, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me on as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Instagram at AndrewMoses123 and sign up for my monthly email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Today is a great day to pull the tarp. I am rooting for you. See you next time.